Trevor's already looking up funny raccoon videos. He's trying to get what we can here. And the funny hockey ones, not raccoon baby making videos. But maybe, Jared, you have some of those. Let me introduce our guest, Jared Houliston. I'm trying to look it up, but I know it, so I don't know why I had to look at my notes. Ontario Wildlife Removal. Thank you so much for coming back. This is your second appearance with us.
It is.
We talked last time about coyotes and such like that, but we're into the baby making season, my friend.
Yeah. It is.
And I only know that because you told me. I really don't pay that close attention to the mating season of raccoons. But so for people at home, what's happening? What should they be watching out for at this time of year?
Well, what happens this time of year is we start getting the influx of calls of I hear fighting in my attic. Something's in my attic, and
my kids said the same thing when they heard it. Different kids.
Yeah. So when we start getting these phone calls, we know the mating season started. It's not the sound of fighting; it's the sound of love in the attic. So
it's not two squirrels. As people often think it's squirrels, it's raccoons.
It's raccoons, yeah. Well, it might be squirrels. Just a couple of weeks away, we'll get in the squirrel mating season too as well. So they're almost the same time. But right now, we're getting bombarded with raccoon calls. So what this means to homeowners, they're traveling all the way in different areas, leaving den sites and breaking into new places, and that's why we're starting to get those phone calls.
Well, that would be my question on that. Would be wouldn't you already have raccoons in your home when this is happening? But they're looking for new places.
Sometimes. I mean, they have their winter dens, and through the course of the year, in any given day or month, they're always leaving and going to new den sites. Raccoons have 3 to 5 den sites in an area because they get evicted from other predators, knock them out, or homeowners coming home and kick them out from under deck. So they're always roaming. So we do this year round, but typically now is the influx because they're smelling out the females. They're looking for the females.
My dad's like that. He just goes from house to house, and whoever can let him in, he stays at. So
I was thinking raccoons have more property than you and I together.
Yeah.
But is it just raccoons right now, or
raccoons and squirrels? We're getting that's our bread and butter right now, and mice all through the winter.
It's much different, I would imagine, having to assess the entrance of a raccoon to a mouse.
Yeah, I mean, mouse, we're getting a little bit more detail oriented with we're up there really close looking for entry points. A raccoon, I can almost 90% of the time drive up in the driveway, not even get out of my truck and see the hole in the soffit line, or a roof vent pulled off, or something like that tells us, hey, this is a raccoon.
Is there a common area that raccoons like to enter homes?
Yeah, there's two. There's what we call roof soffit intersections, where the soffit meets the roof line. Raccoons, it's a learned behavior from mom. Typically they're born in an attic, and once they're born in an attic, they stay there. So basically what they do is they come up the side of the roof and just kind of push their backs up into the soffit, pop the soffit panel, and now they have free reign of the whole attic. And then they give birth to the next set of kits, and then they train them to break into houses. So it's a great business for me.
Yeah.
Wildlife removal and funeral homes. So two things that might never go away.
It's true.
So raccoons are quite intelligent in that way, then.
Oh, they're great. How do you say it? Ambidextrous hands and the feet. So, I mean, they can climb up straight up walls. They climb up downspouts. How many people I get called for that cut down all their trees around the house and still have raccoons, and they can climb right up the downspout. They're smart, and they can open up jars, cans, rip open bungee cords.
Tell me why we're not using them as pets. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun.
You know what? The laws will restrict you here in Ontario from having that. But we don't want them as pets. We want to keep them in the wild and keep them wild, right?
So they're not to be domesticated.
We don't want them. No. I mean, you see it a lot in the U.S. But with raccoons, as soon as they start hitting maturity, they start getting aggressive. They want to seek mates, and a lot of times that's what happens when people have the pet, and then they go, "What do we do with them?" They'll release them back in the wild. And unfortunately, it's not the best scenario for them. They don't have any learned behaviors.
What do you do then when you go into a home to remove wildlife?
Yeah, so we're restricted in what we can and can't do with the laws here too. So a lot of people think I'm the guy at the trap that comes in, traps them, and takes them away. Well, in fact, we're not allowed to do that. It's illegal to trap and relocate in Ontario for disease purposes.
For all animals, or just
yeah, unless there's in trapping programs, you're there to kill, fur bears, but we don't do any of that. Everything we do is typically urban, humane, and I guess you say friendly to the animal. So if they're inside the house, we determine the entry point. We seal that area off and install what's called a one-way door. And we have one for raccoons, one for squirrels, one for mice, one for bats, one for everything that we deal with. So they can come out, but they can't revert, come back inside.
Yeah. So once they're out, then it's like Find a new place, Joe.
On the other side of that one-way door, though, is it a cage that you've trapped them into, or?
No. So what it is basically they come out, the little spring-loaded door closes behind them, and they kind of can't get back in, so they're free to walk away. And so the eviction actually happens when we're not even there.
Right.
Typically.
So it's not so much that you're going in and wrestling a raccoon out of the attic. You're establishing an exit point within the attic that would allow the animal out.
Right.
And not.
It's on the exterior. We are in the attics in baby season. So in about 63 days from now, we're going to be getting calls, and we're going to be up in the attic swimming in the insulation and grabbing the baby raccoons out. And then that's when it gets a little dicey up there with mama growling and attacking. And,
Well, how many is the litter? How many babies would they have in the litter?
typically, it's anywhere from 3 to 8.
Okay, like a cat or.
Yep.
Then.
Yeah, you say that like it's nothing. That's 8. 8 more mouths to feed. Coming from you, you're used to 8 mouths to feed. I'm not. That's not.
And a lot of people think, oh, they're cute. We're going to leave them until they grow up, and you don't want to. 8, 9 raccoons up there growing up and urinating and defecating. It gets pretty messy.
That's
up
a whole other side.
We'll take your word for that.
The more I talk to you, the more I realize how awful this stuff is.
Yep.
Because it's not just that they're living up there. They're living up there.
Oh yeah.
Like I wouldn't want kids in my attic defecating and urinating on everything.
I know. You think these guys the adults are about 30 or 40 pounds. What goes in, what comes out, and typically it's in your attic. So not only are we in there getting the animals out, but we do all the restoration too. So we have to get it all cleaned up.
And what would an
They
attic?
don't pay you enough, Jared.
An attic dwelling.
Thank you.
An attic dwelling raccoon. Where would they forage for their food?
So they'll go out nightly. So they'll feed on 3 to 5 kilometer radiuses from where they live. So they live in the house, but they're going to venture out at night, go feed, and then be back in just before dawn.
Oh, so they're just hitting it for the bed type thing.
Yeah, that's their shelter. Yeah.
Oh man, Hey, are there things people should be doing to prevent it ahead of time? Like really, you're always getting the call after the fact, but are there things people can be doing ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, once you've had wildlife in your house and you've contracted a wildlife control guy like me or another company, you've kind of now learned that in your head. Hey, my past house I had this. We have people now that move to their new houses and call me, hey Jared, just come in and proof it, and before they even move in. So we proof the house so raccoons, squirrels, birds, bats, and everything can't get in. So I mean, unless you have that problem, people don't think about it.
Not for Sasquatches?
Yeah, it's one of our marketing gimmicks, but we do get the odd call for it. I'll never say no. I'll go out.
Yeah.
You just got to pay the fee for me having me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned out it was just Trevor having a hot tub.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you. No, you're gonna say you missed being here, didn't you? So. For a typical person, is there something that they should be then looking for, or is it really call in the expert?
Well, there's preventative things they can do.
Like remove downspouts.
Well, I wouldn't suggest that. In the summertime, a big den site for raccoons is under sheds and decks. So if you can skirt the area and put things around the bottom of the area to prevent them from going under, you're going to keep raccoons at bay. Obviously, keeping garbage locked in a bin that they can't get to, not just bags every night thrown in a corner in the backyard. If you take away the food sources, bird feeders are huge. All right, bird feeders bring all kind of rodents, including raccoons. If you take away the food sources, generally they're not going to be around you, but it's not a guarantee.
Am I right in assuming because I have a dog, he scared away the raccoons, or is that false?
No, typically the raccoons don't care about that because unless that dog's consistently living outside, you only let him out for a pee or a poop, right? And what happens is the raccoon just hides in the corner or runs up a tree until he goes back inside, and then he's back down and he's foraging for food in your backyard, or he'll just go hide under a deck.
Well, I think all our viewers are hiding because they haven't yet written in, but they will. It's funny. You talked about relocating things like that, and I'm going to ask you this question. It's not directly related with yours, but perhaps you've run into this as anecdotally, which is a word I've used twice on this show. I don't know why I can say that. Anyway, bird feeders. You mentioned bird feeders. Great way of attracting mice and squirrels and raccoons. My yard, I don't have a bird feeder. Neighbor's yard does. Guess where all the animals go after they're done feeding at his place?
Coming to yours.
Come on over to mine. Yeah. So is there? There's no bylaws that help for me to protect my home relative to other people putting out food.
No, you're kind of you can't really do much. You're going to protect your house. You can't tell the guy next door to stop feeding the birds. People think they're just feeding the birds. They're not. They're feeding the mice at night, the raccoons, squirrels, and everything. So if you see a bird feeder, it's not if, it's when you're going to have that problem come into your house.
Yeah. Well, I that one turned into skunks. That was when
I remember. I remember that one.
Yeah, I became quite the skunk wrangler. I can tell you this. I won't get into the details, but I'm like the skunk whisperer in my house now. I've got that all dealt with. But that
You're
was,
telling me you want to come out with me, then we'll catch some skunks.
Man, I'm good. You know, I'm. If you need skunk help, I'll
Here's a question. You'd mentioned about catch and release and what regulations and that. What for your company?
Yep.
What is the largest animal that you can actually catch and release?
Well, we're not going to catch or release any animal. The only time we do that is in an industry or corporation where we have to get it out of a living area, and then basically we just take it off site and we take it down a kilometer. But I deal with everything all the way up to about a raccoon. Anything that comes into fox, or I deal with some fox and some coyote. But if we're into anything that's trapping, it's not going to be me. You're into sometimes the SPCA. We work with them, but if there's a nuisance a coyote on somebody's property.
Right.
They'll catch them, and they'll look at relocation. But the MNR has put some strict guidelines in, especially with rabies back in this area after 12 years of not being here. It's a big no-no to trap and relocate. So yeah, I deal everything up to typically fox. Anything coyote or above is going to be in the MNR.
So you're almost doing a job like the club on my car, which is, yeah, you can still break in, but I'm making it more appealing to break into someone else's.
I'm going to say no, because
Okay.
once I'm done doing what I do, I know they're not going to get in. So
Fair enough. It's better than the club.
It's better than the club. Yeah, yeah.
But people who feed squirrels, or with that, does that attract more there, or is it simply when they discover it, you're stuck with whatever's there, or is there like a?
So I guess the biggest thing is we see is growing up, even my family did it, my grandma did it, was the stale bread, throw it in the backyard and let the squirrels grab it. So what happens is those squirrels get accustomed of a food source being there, and it's a tasty treat for them. So they're going to more likely to set up a habitat or their home in a tree close by, and then the tree, will get a couple squirrels in it. Now this squirrel wants to move out, and if there's an opening on the house, they're going to move there because the food's right there. So when you start doing that, you may not get them, but you're more of a chance of getting them if you are going to be feeding wildlife. And you're really doing a disservice to the wildlife, because they're not doing their natural, or not feeding in their natural environment. They're not going to forage for nuts if you're giving them a food source.
Well, I know this, maybe I read it somewhere, or maybe you're going to say, again, challenge me and say that's absolutely false, but for turtles, see them go across the road, sometimes people go, oh, let me help them back over this way, and they say don't, because you don't know actually where their family is, or if they have small ones. If you're helping relocate, it's not just getting one out, you're getting the babies, like you're helping relocate the whole family.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the turtle. If you see a turtle crossing the road, stop. If you can, pick it up behind him, especially if it's a snapping turtle, and put him on the other side that he's facing, because he wants to go that way.
Right,
All
okay.
right. So then that's that. But when it comes to raccoons, squirrels, anything if there's babies and a whole family in there, what we do is we actually go in the attic, physically remove the babies by hand. They come out with us. I put them on the roof in a specially designed heated baby box. Okay. So what this does is during the cool months of March and April, at nighttime, it's heated in there. So when mom comes out her one-way door, she's locked out of the house, but she's instantly reunited with these kits that are inside this heated box, and she actually can go in, nest in there for a little bit, get comfortable. When she's ready, she actually takes one by one and she'll relocate them to their new den site. So we'll set that up during the day on a Monday. We'll come back Tuesday afternoon and even Tuesday morning, and all the babies will be gone. And then we can remove our baby box, we can remove the one-way door, fix the damage, and mom and family have relocated. So we let mom do all the hard work. We don't actually do the relocation. We remove them, and she goes on her way by herself.
Like U-Haul. They got to do all the work themselves. Yeah. You're just renting them the space.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what about, so what comes next? Is mice the next season, or are mice a year-round problem?
Mice a year-round problem, but starting in about late October, until even right now, is a spike. It's obviously all the food sources, berries, anything that's outside is, kind of been depleted by the birds and not growing. So, and a lot of people think mice are just ground dwellers. They're not. You know, I have them on video climbing 28 stories to get underneath flashing on the top floor of an apartment building. So they get in everywhere. They're on the roof. They've climbed up trees, cross over the branches, and land on the roof, and then go in through the roof line.
So these animals are all trained to go to the roof.
Most of them are, yeah. Well, they're opportunists. All animals are opportunists. So given the opportunity, there's a hole or there's an area that they can get, they will find it.
So if I'm thinking I have mice in my house and I'm going around
Dig out the basement
the
holes.
floor, you know, like all the ground surface, you know, looking for wire holes or something like that that might have a crack in them. I might not be looking high enough.
No, typically if you have so how it works is if you have a mouse in a living space, I can guarantee you've had them for at least a month or two before they even got into the living space. And like I said, if you go outside, 90% of the time it's what we call the brick soffit gap. So where the brick meets the soffit, it's never finished. And then you can actually see little greasy, oily stains where they're actually climbing up the brick and tucking under the soffit. And another big one for mice is the little weeper bricks that are around the building. Once they go right through there, they have free reign of the whole house. So there's all these opportunities for mice to get in, and they will. So what we do is we take those opportunities away from them. So we seal caulking around, and we put little screens in the weeping brick. So when we're done, the house is mouse proofed. We don't need to do any traps or poisons, so we don't have to hurt them or kill them. And it's a long-term fix rather than that short-term fix.
You just locked them into the cold. No.
Can I pay you extra for the killing? Like, is that, I don't know.
I can't hurt an animal. It's grown up that way. Even mice, I won't hurt them.
Man, that's good of you. That's good of you. We've had others on that you know would agree with the fur bearer defenders and such like that.
Don't get me wrong. Hunting, I agree with. If you want to be a hunter and you go do that and get your own food, that's one thing. But me personally, that's not me.
You're not eating mice.
No.
Or raccoon.
I've had raccoon.
We're running out of time, but let me give you a pitch here. Where can people get a hold of you if they think they're hearing the mating sounds of the lovely raccoons?
Well, you can get a hold of us on our website, OntarioWildliferemoval.ca. You can follow all our adventures, our GoPro videos and everything on our Facebook site and YouTube. We post there a lot more in spring when we have all the action, live calls, and hands-on stuff. So, or you can give us a call at our phone number, 226-802-9453.
That's a lot of places to find you.
Yeah.
And I want to find out where we ate raccoon.
It was up north, Manitoulin Island. Yeah.
I wasn't a restaurant or a recommendation.
No, it was a hunt, and I was a really young kid, and it's only once, and I would never suggest doing it with a city raccoon.
Okay. and I'm only going to say this for all of my northern friends: they would never call Manitoulin Island up north.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's another show, I think.
We'll give you your geography lesson right after this. Okay. But for now, for Trevor Truk, I'm Jody Matheson. We want to thank all our guests that have been on. Remember, you can be a part of Whimsical Productions with the play When Dreams Come True at Sydenham United Church. Also, Saturday, February 25th, Mississauga Hershey Center. Winston Matthews, the Punisher, getting some action in there. And again, Jared, thank you so much. If you've got wildlife, get it removed, and he's the man. So get a hold of him. Until next time, for Trevor Truk, I'm Jody Matheson. You've been watching Wits and Pieces.